Hello, beautiful people. We just had a fire alarm, so we are going to go back to the pretest number 2. I believe this is, I want to say this is the fourth now part of the pretest number 2 for for unit 5. We already went through, I believe, our first parts are 1A, 1B, part 2, part 3, and so this is part 4. The only one that we have left to complete is solving f of x. And I say solving. We're not technically solving this because the directions say find all zeros. Whenever it's saying find all zeros, that means you need to identify the roots or identify the zeros that actually exist in this function. So here are the roots. I'm going to just put this off to the side so once I solve for a root, I can write them down until I have completely solved for all of the roots. Okay, step number 1 is factoring. I'm noticing that this is the difference of two cubes. So this is my a, this is my b. And so the formula is a minus b times a squared plus a times b plus b squared. So it's always same for the sign, always different for the sign, and always positive. So our a is x, our b is 2, and we're just going to substitute things. So that's x squared plus 2x plus 4. So this one here is factored completely. We know this by the exponent having being 1, so that's done. So this right here is 2. So our first root is 2. We're done with that. Now this one here we can factor if we can by using guess and check, or if it does not factor, then we have to use the quadratic formula. So for factoring, I'm thinking 2 times 2 is 4, but 2 plus 2 is 4, not 2. So 2 times 2 doesn't work. The only other factors that 4 has is 4 times 1. So 4 times 1 is 4, but 4 plus 1 is 5. So that doesn't work either. So then the only other option here is using the quadratic formula. Okay, so the quadratic formula is minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So let's start substituting. Again, a is 1, b is 2, c is 4, and again, make sure you're grabbing the sign next to it in case you have a negative. All right, so negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 2 squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So here we have negative 2 plus or minus 4 minus 16 divided by 2. So we here have negative 2 plus or minus negative 12 divided by 2. So here we have, I'm going to start splitting them up. So negative 2 divided by 2 plus or minus the square root of negative 12 divided by 2. I'm going to shift that up. So we have negative 1 plus or minus the square root of negative 12. Well, I'm going to simplify that. I'm actually going to do something weird. This here, I'm going to use the product property. So this is negative 1 times negative 4 times, negative 1 times 4 times 2. That is wrong. This should be 3. 4 times 3 is 12. So then we can simplify this as negative 1 plus or minus the square root of negative 1 is I, the square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of the square root of 3 is just square root of 3. I'm going to divide that by 2. That gives us 2 divided by 2. We're going to that equals 1. So then our final answer here is negative 1 plus or minus I root 3. And this is x equals, all of these are x equals. So x equals, we're going to bring that down, that's equal. So therefore, x equals negative 1 plus or minus I root 3. Now you can rewrite these as two different roots, so negative 1 plus I root 3 or negative 1 minus I root 3. But I prefer to leave this in a more compacted form with my plus and minus here. So we're going to bring that back up. So our first root or our first zero was 2. Then we have minus 1 plus or minus I root 3 as our other two roots because we have a plus and a minus. And then looking here, based on the corollary of the fundamental theorem of algebra, the 3 here, the highest exponent of a standard form polynomial, which is 3, has to be, not has to be, it tells you how many roots or how many zeros you're going to have. So in this case, we have 3 roots or 3 zeros. Therefore, we should have identified 3 roots or 3 zeros. So we have 2 is our first root. We have -1 plus I root 3 is our second root, and -1 minus I root 3 is our third root. So therefore, we are done. All right, that wraps up I'm going to shift that down here. That wraps up the Unit 5, pretest number 2. Your assessment is coming up. I wish you luck. If you need to pause and rewatch everything, please do so. I truly, truly recommend watching it. Make sure that if you see a mistake, that you identify the mistake. And then good luck. Good luck on your assessment. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching.